the Conservative Party is somewhat informed by the politics of America, and inherently I think that our conservatives have just gotten a little bit more evangelical than they were for Harper, right? Like that old conservatives, they were more of like an a religious, not like anti-religious, but like not really super religion focused in their messaging, right? Like what you were saying, Harper wasn't openly espousing his evangelical views, right? He wasn't using that as a central point of his campaign. But with somebody like Poilievre,
I was just quoting the video we just watched, or that clip as well, right? Like that wasn't my original opinion, but anyways, we should move on to the next clip here now, which is kind of the same topic. Now we're going to go into Mark Carney's response to the Pope's passing.
I want to speak of someone who just passed and who deeply and profoundly touched the lives of billions. Pope Francis was a voice of moral clarity, spiritual courage, and boundless compassion. He was, in many respects, the world's conscience, never hesitating to challenge the powerful on behalf of the vulnerable. Above all, His Holiness understood and taught that value in the market must never eclipse the values of society. He wrote about the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, reminding us that ecological degradation and social injustice are deeply entwined. During his papal visit to Canada in 2022, his apology on residential schools was a crucial step in moving the Church forward in its journey towards meaningful reconciliation. And one parable he shared in about a decade ago has consistently guided my thinking. He compared humanity to wine, rich, diverse, full of spirit, and the market to grappa, distilled, intense, and at times disconnected. And he called on us to reintegrate human values into our economic lives.
So it's funny he brought that up because he's literally talking about the part of the book I always cringe at when he's talking about. He's like, we were sitting at dinner with the Pope and talking about grappa and fine wines. I was just like, all right, buddy, whatever. Like,
well,
you know what I mean?
I feel like the point of that speech, though,
is. I don't even know what
grappa is what they make wine out of. So the idea behind the metaphor was that you can't turn wine back into what it comes from. And so to put values back into focus, it's as hard as it is to turn wine back into the grappa, is what he was trying to say. So he was saying it was like these things get distilled into market forces, like where we put our value. And the whole book's about how our values don't always align with the way we spend our dollars, right? Value monetarily is not always the same societally as a value is in like your morality or whatever, right? Like our society's value. You might say, oh, I care a lot about starving orphans or something, but like people aren't in vast quantities donating all their wealth to these causes that they care about, right? And he's just saying that the goal of what Pope Francis was saying is we need to figure out a way for people to be able to spend their money in ways that represent the values that they hold. You know, not to change what people's values are, but to give people a way to express those values where they aren't like it's because it's so counter to the way our society runs, right? To give your money away or to not value financial success. And I think there's a lot in there to unpack. Like, I think there's a reason he brings it up at the start of the book. It's integral to the whole message of the book, which is that, the values of our society don't always match the monetary value of something. And then so in order to align those two things, we need to figure out a way to do that, right? Like, how do we make it so that people can express their values in a free market without it being forced on them?
Well, I think this is kind of to support your point here, not to toot your horn. I rarely do this, but to give you a little bit of credit to you were saying earlier in our conversation about ESGs and how that is people voting with their money and everything like that. And I don't know, maybe I guess I am seeing a bit of a correlation there with what you're seeing there. But I don't know. I just think, to me, Mark Carney is very disconnected from the average day person, in that it kind of shows in these, and I know he's quoting somebody, But the fact is like, I don't think everybody knows what Grappa is. I'll give you that, especially younger voters. Like, you know, he might be getting through to a certain demographic very well, but I think that is what we're seeing in the polls. That is what we're seeing in the rallies, in the support. He does reach his voters very well. However, when it comes to reaching those people that don't really align with this, I feel like he really falls flat on his face.
Yeah, the messaging isn't condensed enough.
Anyways, we'll I got this other clip for you.
President Trump's unjustified tariffs come with threats to our sovereignty that have one goal behind them: to weaken Canada, to break us so that America can own us, to take our greatest strengths, our resources, our water, our land, our country. That will never happen.
We need a new conservative government for a change that will axe taxes, greenlight construction of homes, mines, pipelines, LNG plants, bring home our jobs so that we can reinforce our economic fortress against the Americans.
Part of the calculation for voters in this election is which candidate can best stand up to threats from the Trump administration. And from a Catholic perspective, which candidates will stand up for Catholic values. Reporter Mark Irons spent last week in Canada to bring us this election preview.
Are Catholics in Canada experiencing a crisis of faith?
People do not really express their faith openly, publicly, certainly not Catholics, which is a major challenge for the church. Why is that?
And how is it impacting the political life of the country?
I do go to church, but I have to say it doesn't really influence my politics. A lot of the traditionally contentious issues within faith communities, like things like same-sex marriage or abortion, I mean, Canadians, I think, by and large, consider those issues settled.
So I wanted to play that clip because I thought there was some pretty good input there, especially at the last moment there. That guy there, as he was talking about the typical bombastic issues that used to be a really big wedge between average day Canadians and Christian voters, and how he says most Canadians view those issues as settled, you know?
Yeah, no, he's kind of echoing what you just said too, where you think that, like, you know, you don't run into a lot of people your age who have contentions with a lot of these things, right? You're not running into a lot of like younger millennials or older Gen Z people who are like care about gay marriage or stuff like that, right? But I think that there is still, like, I'd say more than half the voter base is older than us, right? Most people
you
who
froze there for a sec, saw your camera froze again.
Oh, did I? I don't know what's going on with that.
You don't do anything. You don't do anything. Let me activate and deactivate, and and it fixed it. So let me just handle it from now on. If you have that issue, just
okay.
I'll fix. I'll just tell you to stop talking, and then I'll fix it. Sorry. Okay. So yeah. Sorry. Go back to what you were saying. I want to just take it from the beginning of kind of what you're saying there.
Oh, I was just saying that guy was basically echoing a lot of what you just said, which is that in modern parlance, a lot of these issues do seem kind of settled, right? Like, people aren't talking about overturning gay marriage here. Poilievre has been very, very firm, saying he's not going to touch abortion laws or a woman's right to choose. He even calls it that, right? So even though these are traditionally, you know, funnily enough, like, you know, he's going to these evangelical churches and stuff, but at the same time, he's giving positions on things that before, I don't think that a conservative could give a position like that and still run as a conservative, right? This was like a wedge issue, like a black and white thing on that side of the aisle, and now it's not. You know, it's not considered something that you have to be against. And it's interesting to see that, that he's able to go to these churches and give his support in that way, but then also on his policies and his values, he kind of has the opposite, where he can be a little bit more left leaning than he traditionally would have been, right?
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, there's plenty more where that came from. You can find the link to the full episode in the description below. Click now, watch, and get grounded with all of us. Thanks for watching.